looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. Oh, it's week 2. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, welcome here to Fox's Racing League FRL Season 7. Another great season of action, another great season of great racing here, brought to you on F1 2022 here in the league. And for this week, we are at France. Wonderful, wonderful track. We do love it. Of course, if you missed the run in Split 2, Aston Martin with a beautiful 1-2 in our second split. So hoping for repeat results from Aston Martin here in the first split. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody is having fun. We are here ready to go, and you can see drivers are getting out early. We had a wet race in Split 2, and I'm sure the drivers are hoping that we don't have that situation here. In Split 1, you can see Jack, one of the first drivers out here on track. And track map off. There we go. Now we're back in the groove of things. And just watching everything kind of start up here. Things are going to be pretty slow here. It's France. There was some good action, but, you know, it's France. Lots of DRS pushes. Great track to watch for some DRS overtakes, especially into the backstretch chicane. That's where we see a lot of runs happen. Last week, let's talk about last week here for just a second while we can. McLaren doubling up, winning both Split 2 and Split 1. But, of course, all the talk and conversation is on Split 1 here. Split 2, of course, we have the great Syntex and Gelajne and Bernard that are hosting our Split 2 streams now, doing an amazing job with it. I'm loving watching the streams. So definitely take your time and go check that out. But McLaren on a tear so far. Noda, of course, spinning out early in the race in Hungary, round 1, coming back for an impressive win. Kashti, very consistent there in finishing P2. Buchik was in 3rd place, Wasserschwein 4th, Graxent in P5, Barthez, Puhash, Maverick, and Ignis and Extraek rounding out the top 10 of the finishers for last week. No big penalties, I believe, to talk about last week, and that puts our Constructors' Championship standings at McLaren, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, Haas, Ferrari, and of course, bottom right now being Williams with Deve and JJ. JJ, of course, DNFing, Deve finishing outside of the points. Red Bull in P9, Maddie and Tazo. Of course, Tazo DNFing, Maddie finishing outside of the points. We did get to catch up there with Tazo talking about what happened to him there. And what happened, and of course, he talks about, Tazo brought up a good point. Single race, you can't let a single race affect everything for you. You do have to look at the bigger picture, and Tazo, we know, is a strong driver here in FRL, and I have great confidence in what he can bring to the table. Looking back here at the action on track, we're a few minutes in now. Of course, drivers are finally starting to set times, go through. We see several drivers have already invalidated. Of course, Jack, Tazo as well. Kashti, who we're going through, is currently running and looking really, really good. And as we watch here, coming through the third sector, Syntex starts out with our first lap on the board of a 131.3. I'm going to continue to watch his teammate Cashty, though. We'll see where Cashty brings himself in here on the table. And as they come around here, the final corner, that hard right-hand hairpin, it's a little bit over 90 degrees. Graxent with a 130.4. Cashty comes across the line. And Cashty with a 130.499, so little under half a tenth difference, but purple sector 3. It's a very, very good showing from him there. Wasserschwein putting in a time now. Maverick in on a time. Jump on board with some of our drivers in the back here. So Matouche, I say in the back, really, it's just our drivers. It's the fun thing with the league here is things get mixed up quite a bit. And, of course, Matouche, purple first sector looking really good as he comes down. DRS now open. You can watch as he runs into the hairpin, braking very late there, going a rate of knots through. It's amazing to me how fast these drivers can take that chicane. And as they're coming down now, and he's going to come around the third sector. This is the section of the track that I think is the hardest. It's a lot of sweeping right-hand turns. It's very, very rough on your left-hand tires. Sweeping right-hander here. Look for a very, very late apex come out. You're going to come out, immediately switch back across the track, set yourself up for this left-hander. Another just long left-handed track as you come through, and then you're just nice, gentle right. This left-hander that kind of slows down as you go through it. You have to kind of watch and look for that apex. Then the hairpin right-hander for the final corner to set yourself up for a shot straight down the straightaway. And there we go. Matouche comes through with a 130.6. Good enough for P3 coming through. So really, really good time looking from him and very impressive. Just a few drivers not putting in a lap yet. Of course, Jack into the pits now. Tazo's coming around on an out lap here. And then Ignis. Let's talk about Ignis here in the Alfa Romeo for a second. Ignis finishing P9 last week. Currently sitting ninth in the standings, of course. Pretty good, hungry race. Finishing points, good way to start the season. He's going to come across, I expect a lot of things out of this Alfa Romeo this week. And he is going to come across, put in a P12. Very consistent there for Ignis. Let's jump on board here. We're going to do a full ride along here through the third sector with Tazo. I don't see anybody currently on a push lap. So we're going to enjoy just a little bit here with Tazo on his out lap. Of course, he's not looking to scrub the tires there through that right-hander. You can see he's just coasting in 8th gear here. But you can see where I talk about this turn tightens as you go. It's kind of a double apex. It's a lot of fun, honestly. And if you drive France, you know exactly what I mean. You can see there, Tazo actually slowing down, getting out of the way there of the Haas of, I believe, that is Matouche, who's actually on an in lap. Oh, well. There we go. So Tazo's going to have wide open track. And he is now off the run plan for what everyone else was doing. So he's on a different run plan, which may be a bad thing, may be a good thing for him. Very, very hard to know how this is going to play out for him until we get to watch and see through. Just looking at some of the history here of France. Of course, last time we were here, Tazo was on the podium in P2. Jack was in P3. Previous winners here, Jack won in Season 3. Jalajne won in Season 4. Roloski holds the lap record. Fastest quali lap goes to Noda at a 128.3. That was in Season 1 here of FRL. Jack has the most points scored, and Ferrari is the dominating constructor here at the track. Jack's in a Ferrari, so definitely going to be the name to watch as we go through. Tazo, third sector here. And we've rode on board with Tazo a lot. A lot of drivers are starting to do their out laps. Tazo's the only one on a push lap right now, so we're kind of just enjoying the difference in flow because as he finishes this lap, we should be able to jump on board with some of the drivers behind him, which I believe is going to be the drivers of Cashty and Syntex as they come through. Tazo going down. DRS opens out of the final corner all the way down the main straight. And Tazo puts in a 130.7, good enough for P4 there. Now we're going to jump on board with Syntex, who is actually coming through the first sector. His teammate Cashty's coming around. In the final sector, Cashty doesn't improve on his time there. Syntax is coming down, DRS open, and look at how late they break going into the chicane. Just gorgeous to watch. I absolutely enjoy it, and I'm going to keep talking about it over and over every time we see a car in the backstretch on their own on a push lap, because it's just a great thing to see. And now it looks like all the drivers are out on push laps that can be out on push laps. So we've got a pretty consistent strategy going here. Noda's going to come across the line and put in a 131.2. So he does improve there slightly. Still P8 at the moment. We've got Tazo, of course, out on the third sector going very slow. I believe he's still on his in lap. Cashty coming through the second sector here, or third sector. And he's got a little bit of traffic behind him there, but I don't think he has anything to worry about. We're continuing to just watch the cars as they come through, continuing to see people put in times. It looks like Cashty is going to come around, and he is going to improve, I believe. How much is he going to improve? He goes up to a 130.26. Grabs it right behind him, though, at a 132.62. Just milliseconds separating the AlphaTauri and the Ferrari driver. This is going to be competitive as we watch. Coming now, final corner. Matouche is going to come around. It looks like, according to my timing, he is actually down on time, so I don't think he's going to improve any. 130.651. He does improve on his own time, but he does not improve his position. Puhash coming in to start the third sector now. We've got drivers coming through the final corner, though. And it looks like that is going to be Ignis coming down the main straight. Ignis with a 131.553. So still P14 there for Ignis. Trying to look at what other drivers are coming through. Wasserschwein's coming around down the final straight. A 130.9. Good enough for P7 there in the Aston Martin. Can Aston Martin repeat the dominance that they had there in split 2 with a 1-2 finish? With the way the pace is looking, I don't know at the moment. Wasserschwein P7, Maverick P17 now, as Buchek improves just only slightly, though. Bumolino Gaucho going through the first sector, looking really, really good in that Racing Point, Alpine, Racing Point, Tracing Point, whatever you want to call it. It's a gorgeous pink and blue car. I just defaulted back to like 2017 for some reason. Anyways, coming down the chicane, see how Lady breaks there and watch him flick the car in. You can see just right on the edge of track limits. Absolutely love that. Little bit of a mix-up up front here. John Meister coming across with a 130.547, putting himself up into P3. Down into P4 now, as I believe Matouche just put in a second push lap. And now you've got Jack, who is into the pits there after invalidating a lap. So Jack just having bad luck, it seems like. Ignis is going to come around a 130.6, puts himself up into P5 in the Alfa Romeo. Continue to watch drivers come through here. I believe Tazo is on a push lap as he goes. We'll ride on board with him for a second here and just see if he actually is or not. Tazo is going to come across the line 130.7, so he's still P7 there. You can see back there the Alpine. I believe that's going to be of Extract, who just came out of the pits behind him to start a out lap as Tazo is slowing down here from his push. Let's talk about Debe for a second. This is a good driver to bring up here. Debe finishing P14, the last person to finish the race last week. But lots of promise coming from him this week, and should be a very, very good race to see here in the Williams. just under 4 minutes left to go here in qualifying as we watch the drivers come through, and lots of drivers starting their final push laps a little bit earlier than I'm sure they would really like, but got to get them started now and get them going now. So as we watch the drivers come through here, final sector and around. Debe is running down. We'll see what time Debe puts in. Debe is going to put in a 1:30.683, improves just over 0.6 of a second up into P7. Immediately gets knocked down by, I believe that is Kashti and Tazo dueling it out. Tazo coming through. Kashti's coming through the final sector. So Debe is down in P8 now. Kashti comes across and puts in a 1:30.266. Again. Driver to watch here is going to be Graxit. Graxit on an outlap currently, so we'll keep our eyes on him as he gets his run started here. The dynamic duo of Noda and Bartha is back in P13 and P14 in the McLaren. Have to keep our eyes on them here as they're coming through flying laps. Noda coming through the final sector now there in the gorgeous orange there, papaya color. As he comes around the final sector, he's going to come down the main straight. DRS open. It's flat to the line now. What time is Noda going to put in? Can he improve up? It is a 1:30.7. Good enough for P9 here. His teammate Barthez is going to come across the line. And where's Barthez going to find himself here? You can watch that steering wheel crosses the line doing about 190 miles an hour. A 1:31.3. So he's actually down a little bit of time and could not improve. We'll jump on board here. Buchek coming through the final sector in the Haas. Does he have a little bit of pace in the tank here to improve as he comes around? And Buchek is going to come across. And, of course, the timing in the corner is messed up. But what time is Buchek going to put? A 1:31.6. So that's going to leave him in at P17 now. And Kashti comes across the line, fastest lap of 1:29.9. Graxon's right behind him, though. What time can Graxon put in? Is Graxon's going to come down the final straight here, and Graxon is going to come across and put a 1:30.262 in. So still improving, but not breaking into the 1:29s there like we see Kashti did. Amazing lap coming out of that. Driver Matoush is going to come across. Matoush invalidating his lap due to track limits, though. It would have been a 1:30.4. Ignis final sector now. A minute left in qualifying, so these are the dying laps here of this qualifying session. Ignis is going to come across. What time is Ignis going to put in as he comes through? And Noda retiring out of the session, so Noda is calling it for qualifying there at P9. Tazo is going to call it there at P3. Ignis comes across. P6 is still going to be his time, so we've still got a minute and some change on the board. Some drivers, though, just calling their qualifying efforts now. They've done the best they can do. John Meister is coming across here. Final corner and coming down, and John Meister puts in a 1:30.5, improves 0.4. Still only good enough for P5 though. And you can see Syntex out, Debe Barthez out. So these are the drivers that are just calling their qualifying sessions now. Buchek coming across the line, and we are going to watch and see where does Buchek improve himself to. A 1:31.5, so he's still only P17, not improving much for the driver. Jack invalidating his lap there in the final sector. Very unfortunate because he had a lot of pace, and I'm sure he could have been up there with his teammate if he had kept that in track limits. And that is going to be Jack's qualifying over. Pujols is coming down the back straight. We've got Buchek who is coming around. Sorry, Matoush who's coming around the final straight here. And as he comes down, what time is Matoush going to put in? Matoush with a 1:30.2, so he puts himself up on row 2 of the grid. Continue to watch drivers come through. John Meister has invalidated. Ignis is going to come around. He runs that last corner extremely wide, and that is going to cost him greatly. He's going to come around with a 1:30.6. Still only good enough for P6 there. Pujols is starting to lead the last of the pack. Checkered flag is dropped, so these are all that we have left. Is Pujols, Wasserschwein, and Bimmelina are the only ones we have left to put in a lap. And as we watch here, Pujols comes through. He's got Bimmelina right behind him, and Pujols is going to come across the line. put himself up into P7. A good time there. And Bimolino is going to come across, put himself into P8. Now let's see where Wasserschwein comes across the line. Last driver to put in a lap here. And Wasserschwein is going to stay locked into P12. And now we just wait on Buchik to go into the pits and finish this qualifying session out. So, of course, a very, very good qualifying session here for the split. And now we just wait and we watch the Haas pull in. Very impressive time there from Cash. You have a 129.9, the only driver to break into the 129s. Graxit in P2 with a 130.0, Matouche P3, and then it's Tazo, John Meister, Ignis, Puhash, Bimolino, Jack, Debe, Noda, Wasserschwein, Matty Barthez, Syntex, Maverick, Extrac, and Buchik, rounding out your 18 drivers here in Split 1. Hang out with us for just a minute. We're going to do a lobby reset just to ensure we have no glitches, as can sometimes happen. And then when we come back, it'll be time for some great action here in Split 1. Oh, the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful track of France. Welcome everybody here to Split 1, of course. Welcome to the French Grand Prix as we are getting ready here. Hopefully everyone is very familiar. It's a nice sunny day here in France, and as we are shaping up here, getting ready for the race, of course, there is no formation lap, and it is going to be 15 turns, 3 sectors, of course. 2 DRS zones. We are underway here. I could have timed that a little bit better, but I didn't. We're underway here with the race, and a massive crash from Bimolino there right off the first corner. We didn't even make it to turn 1, and we're already under safety car. I can't even talk about tire strategy. I can't talk about anything. It is immediate carnage out of turn 1, so that is going to be that. Puhash, big severe penalty. AWS pit stop strategy. It is going to be hards to mediums, or if you want to make a 2-stop, medium, medium, soft. What just happened? Can anyone tell me what just happened? All right. And safety car kicking off the show, and Syntex up 5 places already. Amazing moves there coming from the AlphaTauri driver. His teammate, of course, in P1, so he's got a little bit to go through, but wow. What was that? Hopefully someone clipped that, because that was real weird. Let's see if there is a clip that I can look at and try to understand, because I didn't even have time to process how that started. I can't imagine we're going to see any drivers pit already, so. All right, so there is a clip. Let's take a look at it here. All right, so they went underway, and it looks like, was that teammates that hooked each other? Oh, that looked like it was teammates hooking each other. Oh, if that's what that was, then that is a big problem for the drivers as they come through. All right, looking at tire strategy here. Very, very generic across the board. A lot of drivers on hard. Buchik is on softs. Extrac is on mediums. And Matouche in P2 is going to be on mediums as well. So very, very similar strategies. A couple of brave folks that are going to try to look to break out a little bit, take advantage of some compounds. But the tires do wear out pretty hard, so that is going to be it's going to be interesting to see what happens here and how things go through as the race continues. Alright, let's think about how this is going to go now. So the drivers are going to get a couple of free laps here. They're not going to really wear their tires or anything crazy. It's going to be about keeping the heat in the tires and just keeping things going, which shouldn't be hard for them to do as we continue through. It's France. We all know how France is. And just It's just a matter of kind of hanging on here. Kashti, Matoush, Graxent, your top three, and I have a weird feeling we're going to see a lot of pace out of Graxent early on here. He seemed very strong in qualifying, what I could tell. Kashti, of course, the only driver to break into the 129, so it's going to be important for Graxent if he wants to have a shot there on Kashti. He needs to get past Matoush as fast as he can, which I can't imagine will take him very long, but who knows? He may be able to make his car as wide as a bus. It is a hatch, after all. American car. So as we come through, I believe this may be our final lap under safety car here. No drivers opting to pit, as I don't know why you would this early into the race. Not even putting a corner of wear into your tires. So really you just kind of relax, and we'll do a rolling, essentially what's going to be a rolling start here for the race. So I think we're going to see, just kind of spouting off some predictions here. Here into turn, what is this, turn 3? I think we're going to see a lot of good action coming into that corner, and I think we're going to see a couple of cheeky little dive bombs coming into this good double right-hander as well. I think we're going to see some drivers get really brave and try to make a pass there, because then you come out, and if you have DRS through detection zone, you get DRS here, and you just fly down the straight. Of course, no DRS for 2 laps after safety car, so we're going to get a couple of laps of just very, very close action before we see, any sort of DRS strategy play in. 2 DRS zones, one on the front stretch, one on the back stretch, as you'd expect. So as we come around the third sector, we should see the lights go off on the safety car, and they should call it in this lap. Yep, there it is. Safety car is in this lap. That is going to essentially mean Kashti has control of the field as he comes through. And I mean, really it's a rolling restart. So if you watch any sort of GT racing or anything like that, you'll be familiar with the start procedure, and if you're familiar with F1. But for those of you who may be new, of course, Kashti has control of the field. So once the safety car is into the pits, Kashti decides when he wants to go. And for those of you who may want a little bit more racing in your life than just F1 racing here in FRL, we do, of course, have the ACC Endurance League. Hasn't done a race in about a year and some change after our last attempt was done at Spa. Coming up February 18th, we will be running an 8-hour endurance race in Barcelona. Got a few teams that will be representing FRL. It'll, of course, be streamed here on the FRL Twitch, and you can check it out. It'll be live for the full 8 hours, plus a little bit before and after, just to talk about the race. But getting back to the action on track, Kashti is back underway, taking things under green now for what is starting lap 4 of 27. Of course, Matoush there in P2, Grax at P3. Drivers are all coming through. Things seem fairly straightforward, fairly clean. I don't see any serious things happening. I lied when I said that. There's Syntex, who is spun out in the first chicane, and that is very unfortunate. Up 5 places from the start, and now he's all the way back down in the last place with a significant gap back. Matoush, fastest first sector so far as he comes through, so showing a little bit of good pace there. He's going to have the slipstream going through on Kashti, and we're going to watch and see here as we ride on board. Can this Haas catch up to this AlphaTauri as we go through? And now we've got a spin there back on the back stretch. That is going to be Buchik and Maverick that have spun there. They're both back underway. It looks like front wings missing for Buchik, though, unfortunately. Could spell disaster there. We've got passes there with Wasserschwein and Debe. Wasserschwein going around the inside of Debe there, going past. And now we have Matoush, who's just a 1/10 of a second back. Very aggressive on Kashti early on. Is he going to have the run here? He's peeking up the inside. He's going to look around the inside there. He has to back out of it there just a little bit worse of a line. And Kashti is able to hold on for just another lap. But you can see just some major overspeed from Matoush here on the medium tires with the advantage. Kashti defending as best as he can. He's going to push Matoush very wide, but Matoush is set up on the inside here as they come around the final quarter. They're side by side, and it's going to be a drag race down the straightaway. Don't discount Graxton, though, in the background. Matoush does get that pass done. Now we're into turn one, though, and if Cashy can keep a little bit of side by side, he's going to have the inside going into turn one, and here we go. Into turn one we go. They're both going to dive through. Racing room left, and it looks like that is going to be Matoush who has the pass done. So Matoush now up into P1 here on lap 5 on the medium tires, though. So it is going to be interesting to see what his strategy play is going to be here. Graxton 7.5 tenths back on Cashy. So Graxton playing it a little bit safe, letting those two battle and push their tires. And Graxton, I would imagine, is going to sneak in very soon. Coming down the back straight here for lap 5 of 27. You can see here just what I talked about with the back straight just being a matter of slipstream and running through. We've got Puha shoes coming down through the chicane here, looking very good. You can see pretty close gaps through the drivers. Nothing too crazy. You can see, of course, in the background, Maverick and Buchik. Or I believe that's Syntax and Maverick. The drivers in the back, very unfortunate. Now, we just watched the drivers through the third sector, just a series of right-handers that they just have to hold on to and just edge with the tire's grip, just make sure the grip doesn't break out of the car as they go through. And you can see things are settling down pretty significantly here now after that first lap action between Matoush and Cashy. As the drivers come onto the main straight here, Cashy is just looking to kind of hold his gap behind. Of course, DNS enabled this lap, so they'll get DRS going down the back straight. And so all Cashy has to do is just kind of hang on to Matoush there and keep a little bit of a close, just keep within a second of him. He doesn't have to be very close, just within a second. And now we'll start to see some more action happen here in France as it goes. And of course, just watch as he flows through the chicanes. Very, very clean and just tidy, hitting every apex. It's absolutely great to watch these drivers go because even though this is sim racing, they tend to do very well. And Matoush, a little bit of a mistake potentially right there, and you can see just the overspeed difference happening now from Matoush. And Matoush knows that he made a little bit of a slip there, but having a full second gap, still 7 tenths made up there from Cashy on that back straight alone. 7 tenths, that's a lot of time to make up. Now we get to watch some of the other drivers come around here, and you can see just nice and tidy. Everyone playing the long game here of the race, and we'll just watch as everyone goes around. Cashy did close the gap down to 3 tenths of a second, so DRS a little less powerful on the front straight compared to the back straight from what I find, just because of the length that you're running. And now yellow flag out sector 3, that is going to be for Wasserschwein, it looks like, who spun. Wasserschwein back underway here. And it looks like Wasserschwein and Aston Martin not having a comparable race to their split 2 counterparts. And now we get to watch as the DRS trains are arriving. Graxton 1.7 back there, and everybody behind him has DRS. So Graxton is about to just be bullied going through the first and second sector, I believe. We'll watch there, 6 tenths of a second the gap between Matoush and Cashy. So 3 tenths of a second made up, almost 4 tenths by Matoush on Cashy as they go. Just losing time, Cashy is. It's very unfortunate. And Graxton needs to get a bit of a move on because it is possible for Tazo here to get past him as they go down. Because you can see with the overspeed, over 200 miles an hour going into this braking zone, hard braking down into the bus stop chicane. And Tazo took the gap down to half a second on Graxton. So this is a very, very close battle to watch. And then, of course, we do have the battle there for P1 that we can keep our eyes on. Wasserschwein and Maverick swapping places in the background, going through the chicane. Teammate squabbling just a little bit. And then Buchik, of course, hoping for a safety car to get things back in his favor. 27 seconds off of the next car in P17. One driver already DNFing here within the first 7 laps. He didn't even make it to the first corner, unfortunately, for Bimolino. It was just right on the grid. It looked like he got hooked by another car and just sent straight into the wall. Watching the drivers run down here into the first sector for the 8th time now. Lap 8 of 27, just under a third of the way through the race. And of course, still Tazo, Ignis, Puhash, Jack, John Meister, all trying to chase down Gracton. Matoush is eventually going to run into a problem where he's got to figure out his tire strategy and exactly what his plan is. Is he going to go medium to hard and try to do a one-stop? Is he going to go medium, soft, two-stop? It's really going to be hard to tell, and I believe that is Wasserschwein who has spun there in the first sector. It is Wasserschwein that has spun in the first sector. So Wasserschwein just falling further off the pack. Very unfortunate. Again, Aston Martin just not their day, but we're continuing to watch his driver's battle here down through the chicane. 3.5 tenths. The gap now between Tazo and Graxton. He's continuing to try to chase him there and catch up. And it's just a matter of patience and a matter of clean driving that we're looking for from these drivers. You can see just as he goes through, just clean and tidy. Graxton a little bit better line potentially, but you can see the overspeed on corner entry right there for Tazo, but Graxton has the corner exit speed, it looks like, to match and compete. Now we're coming across here. DRS open, gap down to 2.5 tenths going into the first corner. And now Tazo just has to follow and try to keep up with Graxton. Graxton just needs to drive consistently. They are losing touch with the leaders there. And of course, Kashti, half a second the gap. Matoush taking a 3-second time penalty now for corner cutting. That is going to be not the first penalty handed out, but it is going to be a pretty significant penalty for Matoush there. And he will have to serve that at his pit stop. Now we're running down the back straight here. Tazo half a second back, 4 tenths back, 3 tenths back. So Tazo losing a lot of time on the exit to the back straight, it looks like. And that is unfortunately costing him as we go through, but it seems like the third sector is just not doing it for him either. We're going to jump back here. Barthez, Debe, Extra, big battle there, and it looks like that is Extra who is off the track, losing out big time there in the bus stop. And Barthez and Debe are going to continue to battle it out here as we watch them run down into the third sector. Barthez just a 10th back, trying to have a slight peek up the inside. You can see harvesting now by Debe there, and oh! Barthez a little too close for his own good, tapping the back there of the Williams. And that is very unfortunate to see there from Barthez. Hopefully he did not get any wing damage from that, because if so, that will be very unfortunate. It didn't seem like a brake check, but it seemed like Barthez just a little bit faster than David through that corner and just overestimated how much speed he had to catch up. So now this battle is starting to calm down just a little bit. We can jump back up front here. Kashti, 3.5 tenths, 4 tenths back on Matoush. And as they run out of the final corner here, there is going to be a significant speed difference there. And it looks like Kashti finally having the patience to get this done. So Kashti well past Matoush going into the bus stop there. But you can see Matoush very, very late on the brakes, trying to keep up with a bit of a gap there, and Graxton Tazo finally inverting positions as well in the background. So Tazo now up into P3, and he can set off trying to chase down Matoush and Kashti. And Kashti with a purple middle sector just to top things off there as he's going to run through. But look at this. Matoush up the inside trying to get a pass done. Is he going to be close enough to get the pass done? He is not. He's going to try to hang it wider on the outside, though. Maybe a switchback. Not close enough, but still extremely close here to Kashti. Kashti on those hard compound tires just doesn't have the grip through the middle sector, even though we are on lap 10 of 27. So really, grip shouldn't be the big issue right now. And there it is, final corner. A little bit of an exit difference, and Kashti through. Holding onto the position, setting a fastest lap, and Kashti can try to set off and build a little bit of gap on the rest of the field. Just watch the drivers as they come down through the first sector, just glorious winding sections and all of the blue and red, like grippy tarmac. That's one of the things unique with France is they don't have dirt or gravel traps. The tarmac is different levels of abrasion. So the blue is highly abrasive. It's meant to help you stop, and then the red is like extremely abrasive. And that is meant to just grab your car and grab the tires and help you slow down. Matouche not close enough for a run there, down the back straight, and then Ignis, Pujols, Jack, and John Meister and Graxit holding on to their positions. Graxit back in P8 now. I don't know how that happened, but that's very unfortunate there for the Ferrari drivers. He does have a lot of pace. I'm curious to see if we're going to have any safety cars again or if we will stay green through the rest of the race. I'm really wondering when this next round of pit stops is going to begin. Of course, the AWS pit stop strategy set around lap 15 or so would be when the drivers would want to make their pit stops, and it's going to be a few laps out now. Drivers may look at stopping a little early or a little later to try to go for an overcut or undercut. But Matouche, 11 lap on mediums, he's got to be feeling the wear of those tires by now. And just continuing to ride on board with our leader here, looking 0.6 of a second the gap. Matouche with a little bit slower of an exit, it seems, but he is going to have the help of DRS. Is he going to be able to take advantage of any of his overspeed here? And as he goes down, Matouche is even harvesting. Jump on back here, Jack with DRS. Pujols with DRS as well, but Jack able to use the slipstream to get around into P5. So Jack looking to use his best track of France and make it a little bit better here, and using some of his knowledge and his skill in the Ferrari to try to help keep things going. Pujols 0.2 of a second back now on Jack. Pujols is going to think about a little bit of a dive there. You can see the blinking lights because he is harvesting his ERS, and I don't think Pujols is going to have a move here. Doesn't look like a yellow flag coming out there. Looks like things are calm, though. We're going to jump back here with Maverick and Barthez as they're battling it out. And Maverick going around getting past Barthez there into the start of the third sector. Some good action in the back of the field as we watch these drivers race all throughout the field. But especially right here, blast to the points paying places. But if a safety car comes out, these places can make all the difference. As they come around, it looks like Maverick and Barthez are going to hold their positions for another lap at least. Now we're going to jump back up front here. Check on Matouche and Kashti. Matouche 7.5 tenths back, 8 tenths back on Kashti. So losing a little bit of pace. You can see the sky's getting a little bit cloudy as well. So probably going to be looking at some late race rain, which will significantly mix things up if that is the case. As they come around here, still continuing. Matouche trying to hold on to those medium tires as best as he can. 12 laps now. And he's managing to just keep extremely close to Cash. I mean, look at this. The gap coming down more and more as we go. And then the gap opening up again there through the final few corners. The gap, at one point, he had it down to about 0.2 of a second, and the gap continues to open up. And here we go now. Down the main straight, DRS open. Not going to be enough to give him any sort of a significant advantage, but it'll just keep him in reach of Kashti. And really, right now, that is all he needs. And as we shoot through turn 1 and 2, and things single file, calm, relaxed. It's just waiting on weather now. Now that we know the weather is coming, it's a matter of when. Now, are we going to see any passes down the back straight with the help of DRS? Let's watch here with Tazo, who's not under pressure from Ignis or Jack at all. Gap only falling down to about 0.6 of a second there for Tazo against Ignis. We'll jump back with Maddie. Maddie 0.3 of a second back here on Noda and 10 seconds ahead of Debe. So back of the field especially has spread out here. So it's your front two drivers, Kashi, Matoush, and then Tazo, Ignis, Jack, Pujosh, John Meister, Graxent that are a pack. And then you've got Noda and Maddie there that are a group. And then everything else is spread out. But I don't know if you see just light little drops of rain starting to fall onto the track. Just light rain. Not enough to cause anyone to have to duck in for intermediates, but just enough that I think we could start to see some problems here for drivers. And we'll see if anyone gets tempted to go into intermediates maybe next lap, or if they haven't caught it and a safety car comes out. And as we come down, DRS is still enabled, so no concerns. A little bit of wet spot starting to form on the track, though. As you can see there in that camera shot, Kashi still keeping his gap there of 5.5 on Matoush. Matoush, I see why Matoush has stuck it out on those medium tires so long. Very, very important for him to try to stick it out until intermediate conditions arrive. You can see a couple of wet spots starting to form on the track, it seems, but nobody opting to dive into the pits yet as we watch this gorgeous wide shot here of the drivers coming around the double right-hander. And everything for another lap is still as it was. Everyone's still holding position. Everybody just waiting on someone to make the change over to intermediates and make the blink, if we're even going to get enough rain for intermediates. That's the thing. It could be that we don't get enough rain and intermediates never have to come out. That is always a possibility. Jack's been getting a pretty significant gain on Ignis the past couple of laps. He's now got that gap down to 0.4. It was 0.3 of a second at one point. Debe and Extract, first drivers I see to opt into the pits. Intermediate tires out for Extract there, it looks like. And it looks like back markers are making the call now. Intermediate tires are arriving on track. Very, very interesting decision to see those so early on. We'll see how they fare for the drivers because the leader's staying out another lap. It looks like blue lights are flashing, though. That means faster traffic coming through. As you exit the pits, I don't see anything crazy. DRS has not been disabled either that I am aware of. Look at that, though. Look at the pace difference there between Wasserschwein and Debe as Debe comes out of the pits. Ignis now picking up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And we're going to keep our eyes here on Debe and try to watch what kind of pace he has. And if it is a comparable pace time to the leaders to see if this was a good decision. You can see actually a good chunk of speed there coming down the back straight. So this might be the time. Leaders are coming around the final stretch here. Are they going to duck into the pits? Kashi staying out for another lap. Matoush staying out for another lap. Tazo, Jack, Ignis, all of the lead lap cars. The top 10 all staying out for another lap all the way down to Maddie. Syntex opting into the pit now. So we're starting to see the transition over to intermediate tires for the final 10 laps, which would explain why a lot of the drivers started with hards if they knew the rain was going to come near the end. But Matoush's gamble for mediums obviously paying off. He's still in P2. We'll see here a clean pit stop there from Syntex and the crew, and that is going to put Maverick and Wasserschwein. Oh, Aston Martin are going to double stack here. What is the gap here? I don't think they have the gap to double stack. So Wasserschwein is going to lose a little bit of time here to his teammate. We'll see just how long he is stopped for. Not much longer than he had to be. Kashti coming down through the third sector here. So things are heating up. The top 10 are still out. You can see pretty significant rainfall now. No spray coming off the track, but pretty significant. You're starting to see the color change on the track and the water stand. They're starting to lose the dry line. So it's interesting to me that they're still out on track on those tires. Will they try to risk it for one more lap? And we're going to continue to watch and see. Yellow flag, third sector. That is Matoush that is spun. Matoush spinning there in the third sector, and that is going to be the cue. That is it. So you've got your top two into the pits. Jack in, Ignis, Pujols, Graxit, John Meister. John Meister staying out. Everyone else into the pits but John Meister. John Meister staying out. Another lap. Is this a gamble? This has to be a gamble. We'll keep an eye because look, you can see the water standing on the track. But pit road's so busy that I'm guessing Alfa Romeo didn't want to double stack and risk losing a bunch of time. We'll keep our eyes here on the gap. Currently it's 14.2 seconds. But look at John Meister sliding. He may have just compromised his own race. As we watch, Kashti came back out in the NP2 here. And look at that. Already a second been taken out of John Meister. Just in less than a sector. Tazo coming through. Is John Meister going to struggle to break here? Look at how slow and timid he's having to go. Look at that. All the way down into third gear. Kashti already another second out before he hits the chicane. So most drivers now going on intermediate. Things in the pit lane not really mixing up that I can tell. Bartha's picking up a 3-second time penalty. Ignis has that penalty he has to serve. John Meister, I would imagine, is going to go to the pits here. Another second has been taken out of the gap that he had, so this is going to cost him big time. And will probably drop him to the back of the points-paying places. As he comes through, there he goes into the pit. I got very nervous for a second. And now Kashti will come around and take the lead back here. So Kashti down the main straight. And then Tazo coming through. Ignis is around. Jack is through. I still don't think DRS has been disabled. Okay. There we go. DRS has been disabled. I got worried for a second. I was going to be like, Now, as we watch, it's just going to be a matter of survival to the end. Is anything crazy going to happen before the end of this race? Kashti is around here, over 1 second back. Buchik now picking up a 3-second penalty, and look how wet the track is. You can see the tire tracks from the car in front and the standing water. I don't think it's wet enough for wet tires, but it is very, very wet on the track. Intermediate tires are definitely the call. I almost wonder if we won't have to see a transition to full wets by the end of the race. So now gaps are several seconds between each driver, so it really is just a case of survival. No DRS to help them pass, so it really is just a case of who is faster, who has more pace, and can you catch up to the car in front. Maybe use a little bit of slipstream as well. But the thing is, you gear up for one of three ways. You gear up for the first and third sector, or you gear up for the middle sector. If you gear up for the first and third sector, you're slow through the middle sector. If you gear up for the middle sector, you're going to be slow through the first and the third sector. I don't know which way is better. I think it's more of just a preference of how you like to drive. And continue to watch the drivers come through here. Matoush has his gap down to 0.6 of a second on Jack. So Matouche starting to gain on the Ferrari driver of Jack, and Jack is trying to chase down Ignis, who's 1.2 seconds in front of him. The leaders are still 8 seconds in front of the nearest pack, or in front of the middle group pack. So leaders are out in a league of their own right now. It really is just a case of who is going to be the one to get the pass done. And is there any sort of a charge? We do have 7 laps to go. Safety cars are always an option. And Matouche now had his gap down to around 0.5 of a second there. Looks like a poor exit through the chicane, cost him a little bit of time. Gap is hovering around 0.6 right now. You can watch the drivers go through here, just looking at gaps again. 10 seconds for this group of Ignis, Jack, and Matouche that they'd have to make up on the leader. And there's been a spin in Sector 3. I believe that is going to be Barthez who has spun out. And I believe that is a safety car deployed with 7 laps to go to mix everything up here. Of course, Barthez losing his front wing, and it looks like debris on the track, so a safety car was called. That mixes up everything, because that means all of the gaps that they had no longer matter. Everyone gets to bunch back up. The field is reset. And we get a good probably 3-4 lap shootout here. Oh, the rain. And you can see drivers sliding around here. I'm almost surprised nobody's tempted to pit and go onto full wet tires. I don't know if it's actually wet enough for full wets, though, but I'm really surprised that no one has considered... I speak too soon here. I speak too soon. Graxon into the pits here. And it looks like Graxon is going to go onto the full wets. So... a gutsy decision here from the Ferrari team. The questionable strategy calls in real life for carrying over here to the league. We are lap 21 and 27, and the wet tires are making an appearance. You see, that is a pit crew in the background getting ready. Looks like that is for the Williams of Debe. And they are going on to the full wets as well. So, a couple of drivers, I said I thought we would see the full wets by the end of the race, and it seems like I might have been right here as we watch. I mean, just watching the drivers here, I mean, safety car doesn't make a difference to it. It is going to always be fast through, but we're coming around the backstretch, and I'm wondering if we're not going to see more drivers duck into the pits here on this lap than we did as they came around. Graxon down into 11. David still P14. Buchek, Barthez, Wasserschwein all opting into the pits here as the field is coming around the third sector. And all of them are for wet weather tires because the rain has picked up significantly. Now, is this gamble going to pay off, though, is the big question. It really is a case of, is this going to be How much worse is the rain supposed to get? And Cashy disqualified for ignoring yellow flags? What? I am very confused what just happened. That is Cashy's race over. So that... And we still have drivers not going into the pits. Pujas, Schaummeister, Graxon's now up into P3. What is this strategy that is happening? Everybody's in for wets. What is happening? I am so confused. Try to see if I can get a little bit of confirmation of what just happened. That made no sense. Oh. So here's where we find ourselves on lap 23 of 27. Kashti, who has dominated this race, DNF'd randomly, so it seems, for ignoring yellow flags, so the race said. It is a torrential downpour on the track, so now we have two drivers on intermediates. Everyone else has went to the pits. Graxon pitted at the start of the safety car, dropped to the tail of the field, and then everyone else pits, so now he finds himself up into P3 after he has been running pretty far back for a majority of this race. Schaummeister and Pujas are the only drivers on intermediates making very gutsy decisions. Because if they're gambling and they're wrong, it is absolutely race over for them. And really, it's probably race over for them if everyone else on the field is on wets and they're on intermediates. There's no way. There's no way that this heavy rain is just for like a lap or two. I mean, look at the amount of water on the track. The track is just shiny. What is happening? And there goes Schaummeister into the pits now. Pujas still staying out. And it looks like we're going to have one more lap under safety car at least. So we're still waiting for the field to bunch up. We still have Wasserschwein and Barthez in the background. So Schaummeister is in, Schaummeister is out. Very, very clean pit stop from Alfa Romeo. But you have Pujas on intermediate. I'm telling you, if Pujas wins this race, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll lose my mind. There's no way that this happens like this. All right, we're coming around third sector. Do the lights go off on the safety car now? And there it is. There's the call for safety car in this lap. And just look at how much Pujols is sliding, though. I mean, there's no way this goes well for Pujols. We all agree with that, right? Like, oh, what was the brake check? That was, oh, what was that? Did that cost anyone a front wing or anything? I hope not. No, it looks like everyone got away damage-free, but that was, that was interesting. Now, as they come around, Pujols is going to have control of the field here as we come through, and I feel like we're about to see a lot of carnage very quickly. And look at that, Pujols very wide, very slow. He's blocking everything. What is happening here? He's waiting till the absolute last second to go, and go he shall. Pujols gambling, the only driver on intermediate. Look at the pace difference behind him. Everybody on wets, and look at the chaos going on behind him there. As we watch, big mix-ups happening here. A lot of carnage. Drivers going very wide. Look at that. That is the Red Bull of Tazo where Matty went. Big wreck there in the background, and that is actually Pujols DNF'd out. And now we're 3 wide going into the chicane here as we go through. But look at that. That is Matoush and Jack battling for a podium place. There's so much action going on. I can't keep up with it. Tazo up. Graxon through. Extrac and Debe battling it out. 3 wide still, and somebody gets tapped there. That is the AlphaTauri there of Syntax getting tapped in the back. Now they're side by side as they run down. Things kind of settling down. Matoush trying to have a run here on Ignis. Oh, he's going to block him all the way down to the inside. And they go down side by side as they come through into the chicane. Is he going to have enough space to pass? They're side by side. It's wet. Ooh. Matoush holds on to it just enough. Ignis gets pushed very wide off the track. Now Jack is going to have the run, and is Tazo going to follow him through? Jack is going to be there on the right-hand side there. He's going to try to swap back. There's his one block. He's going to come back around, and now Jack to the inside. Is Jack going to be able to hold on to it? Jack isn't close enough for the pass there. Tazo is getting very, very gutsy, though, and looking into it as well. Meanwhile, we've got all that going on in the back of the field. We've got some crazy action as well happening there. Look at that. Barthez pushing Maverick very wide through, and oh! They both get loose and hit each other there. Very unfortunate. Jump back up to the front of the field here. And look at that, drivers wiggling on traction. Losing traction on throttle. It's very, very rare to see that. Look at that, though. Jack, Tazo, very, very close together as we run through. Coming around the final corner, we're going to run down the main straight now. Matoush in the lead. Ignis P2, Jack P3. Very, very close race here with just 2 laps to go now this time by. And as we run down, Jack trying to find a way to have a good run there on Ignis, and Tazo with a very, very good run. And now we've got Pujols, it looks like, spinning back in the 3rd sector on the intermediate tires. Entirely too wet for the tires. He took a gamble. Unfortunately, it is not going to pay off for him here. Look at Noda back here, just a couple tenths back on Matty as we watch as they file through. Is anyone going to be able to get a run here down the next to last time on the backstretch? Ignis is coming around, and there goes Jack watching all of these gaps here. Is anyone going to try for a gutsy dive down the chicane? We're going to onboard here with Jack as we run through down into the bus stop chicane, braking earlier than they have been, that's for sure. And no sort of path going through there as we watch. Noda very, very close as well to Matty, but no pass there. Ignis, very, very good run here in the Alfa Romeo. I said in qualifying that I had a good feeling about the Alfa Romeo this weekend, and I feel like he's sitting very, very well right now. Runs very wide through. We do, of course, have penalties that have to be applied here at the end, and then stewards will have to review the race. But as of right now, it looks like all the drivers are in very, very good positions. I believe if Matty can stick around, though, he may just win it. Yeah, it looks like Matty, if he can just stick in position, he'll win it through. Looking at the penalties, everybody on wet tires. So looking at penalties, Jack with 8 seconds of penalties. That's very, very rough. Now we are going to come across for the final time here with Matoush, 1.7 seconds the gap against Ignis. Jack and P3, 8 tenths back. Tazo there with a good run. Noda has a very, very good run going into turn 1 here on Matty. We've got a yellow flag out 3rd sector. Matty is going to go very defensive here on Noda through the last time here in turn 1, turn 2. And it looks like Noda is going to drop back a bit there, not be able to fight that. Barthez retiring out of the session on final lap there, DNFing. as we watch here as the drivers come through. John Meister picking up a 3-second time penalty back in P12. He now has 11 seconds of time penalties to finish things out. This is going to be a very, very interesting finish to watch, though. Look at that. Noda just right on the rear end there of Maddie. Is he going to be close enough for a diving? I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it. Watch this. Watch this. He's going to look. He's going to dive around inside low. No, he's going to foul back in here through the chicane. He thought about it there, just like Tazo is thinking about where can he get a move done on Jack. Maddie gets a little loose there. Noda very, very good on grip as we watch. And watch there just in front of them as we watch Tazo with a run there on Jack. Is Tazo going to be able to get a move done? Jack a little bit defensive. Look at Ignis extremely wide as they run through. And Tazo looking very, very clean as they come around. And then you can see back there in the background just barely. Is Tazo going to be close enough for a pass? It doesn't look like it. But, of course, penalties still have to be applied. So Tazo in a very good position so far. Jack sliding there. So Jack on track, may not be in podium, may still be in podium. We're coming around for the final time here in a wet circuit. Paul Ricard for the final time. The hats of Matouche comes around the corner. He is going to go down to the line, and for Hath on track, it is a victory. Ignis very, very loose there at the end, diving to the inside, and for Ignis, he's going to come across P2, P3, Jack, P4, down. So now, as penalties get applied, we get to see what the podium looks like. Matouche, Maddie, Tazo, Syntax up into P4 after penalties. Extraek up into P5. Ignis, Noda, Jack, Graxent P8, Wasserschwein P9, Buchek P... Oh, sorry, Noda P7, Jack, Graxent, Wasserschwein, Debe, Buchek, Maverick, John Meister, and Puhash. Puhash, who is still going down through the third sector, is going to be our driver in last place. He did have to pit on the final lap and put on the wet compound tires. Matouche, very dominating race. Kashti, of course, disqualified for something random, but for Matouche, able to hold on to it there. Very, very mega restart for him, dealing with Puhash there, who was on the intermediates and finishing off this race. So that is a very... very, very exciting race there coming from the drivers. And that is going to round out our second race here of the season in the Circuit Paul Ricard. I believe next week is Portimao, if I am correct. It is indeed Portimao, January 22nd. Split 2 starting at 7 p.m. Central European Time, 8:30 Central European Time is when Split 1 starts, so definitely tune in for us there. For Split 2 with the commentating geniuses and the commentator gods of Syntax, Bernard, and Jalajne, who's been tagging along. It's been great to see their commentary and absolutely love it. I love watching Split 2, and Split 1 is always a joy to commentate. Of course, my name is Bradley. I'm your Split 1 commentator, and congratulations to all the drivers, and we'll see you next week. And it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers.